to the VCE Unit 1 20th Century History podcast, a weekly podcast which gives an overview of each topic we'll be studying throughout Term 2. Our first topic is the Weimar Republic. As you'll remember from last term, we had a look at the Treaty of Versailles and the fallout from World War I. This term, we're going to have a look at particularly Germany and the interwar years. We'll soon follow that on by looking at what led to World War II and the political situation in Germany. Our first, though, is looking at the Weimar Republic. So it lasted from 1919 to about 1933. So during the period, Germany experienced a really big burst of creativity in the arts and sciences. And it was really a new wave of excitement and positivity that Germany experienced. So we had new media at the time, like radio and cinema flourished, and basically it was turning the old conservative world upside down. So basically people who had once been excluded from political life, for example, women, Jews, leftists, artists and musicians, were now able to contribute to the political debate. As you will remember, we did have the Kaiser, who was basically like the ultimate power. So basically we have now the Weimar Republic, which is almost like power to the people. So democracy, having said that, didn't always bring about political harmony in Germany. So the Weimar Republic was not supported by everyone in Germany. Often right-wing critics blamed the democratically elected government for stabbing Germany in the back for actually signing the Treaty of Versailles. And this became a festering wound in Germany and obviously led to more discontent and a change later on. So they wanted to return to a traditional German way of life, and basically they wanted authoritarian rule. So democracy, people of the Jewish faith and foreigners were often blamed for Germany's defeat, and basically that led to more political unrest. So they looked to Russia and feared a communist revolution would actually bring civil war and a bit more economic ruin to the country. So the communist left believed that their socialist allies in Russia had betrayed their political beliefs by using the army and the Freikorps, which is like a private army of ex-soldiers, to violently put down communist uprisings during January 1919. So the more radical socialists wanted the Ibe government to nationalise private industry and not to come to agreements with bosses over hours and conditions, as was the case in 1918. So basically they had proportional representation, and that was stipulated in the Weimar Constitution. So the number of deputies who represented a political party in the House was dependent upon the percentage of the vote they received. So the party receiving 40% of votes would receive 40% of seats. So this meant that even tiny parties could hold seats. So elections were to be held every 4 years, and it was difficult for any one party to form government in their own right, as there were just so many parties standing for election. So in order to form government, different parties had to come together and form a coalition. So there were major political parties in Germany at the time, and they basically went from left to right. We had communists, we had sort of centralists and democratic parties. Then we had further along, we had workers' parties. So everyone was really having a crack, and basically everyone wanted a Guernsey. There was a power vacuum, and this is something which is highlighted throughout the 20th century, in that we have lots and lots of people wanting to fill that vacuum of power. So the Weimar Republic, some people say it was doomed to fail. Basically, we had quite unstable government. We've got so many people in so many voices led to instability. And let's think about it. It was a contrast from absolute rule, which was the prior situation. So there were a lack of agreements, coalitions broke down. At one point, there were 33 coalition governments in basically in the 14 years, as the parties of the extreme left and the right didn't support the concept of democracy. Basically, the Weimar Republic and its authority of the Reichstag was often challenged and undermined, and we'll have a look at that a little bit later. So the President of the Republic was elected for 7 years. As well as carrying out ceremonial duties, he appointed the Chancellor, who headed the Reichstag, called elections, and in times of emergency could direct the Chancellor to rule by presidential decree. So the role of the President was important in encouraging and maintaining the spirit of democracy. Ibert, the first President, supported the democratic process and the Republic. All right, so that's probably enough information for you now. In our next instalment, we'll have a look at some of the challenges to the Weimar Republic, and we'll see you next time.